Hello. Hi, Alexa.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our live. I'm excited today to introduce you to the work of Charles Cook and his business, Aroma Secrets. And Charles is very good at understanding some of the reasons why you may have chosen a particular oil or one that you don't like. So say hello, Charles. Lovely to
Yes,
see
yeah.
you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so nice to be welcomed in the UK by you. The high priestess of so many people working in aromatherapy, and
Thank you.
um, I applaud you for reaching out, keeping in touch, and I want to stay in touch. I just see such a like mind,
Yeah.
and I think the work that we've done throughout our lives is really, really important. I want to get to know more about what your purpose is. I know you're involved in a lot of research, which
Hmm.
we're compelled to do from all this work and just profound impacts that we see on a daily basis working with.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's just living proof. So covering essential oils starting in 1982, I learned an approach which told you before is by Dr. Dietrich Gumbel. And it was
Hmm.
a systematic approach with 12 oils that I was so passionate about. I mean, just locked on what makes it work just made so much sense to me. And working on that throughout the years, kind of mastering it is really my purpose. And there really is no mastering. You do have to relate them to what people do like and what people don't like to really make sense out of a health situation.
Yep.
But today I was humbly asked to cover the don't likes, which I think is the proper way to say it. You could say dislike, but it's don't like. And people will obviously say that. And just real quick, I want to cover how the sense of smell is just like any one of our senses, but it's a little deeper. It connects to the amygdala, which actually taps into our anticipation, which makes the work of sense of smell very psychic, very intuitive, especially on cell levels. And every cell communicates in an instant. It doesn't take a long time to know if someone really likes an oil or not. Vibrations can raise really quick, or they can drop in a second and make someone really sick. So I really want to talk about those sick vibrations, the ones that make someone, cough and belch or just not agree with them, which is a really severe contraindication showing. And it does show underlying concerns that they do not need that aroma. So please be aware that custom blends or anything that you're using that's not appropriate for someone will not give you the best effect. So it's really important to follow the foraging of someone's instincts and train them on the sense of smell. And starting with bergamot, I really wanted to say is really a very old oil. I'm so familiar with it to me. It's changed a little over the years in scents and how it works on people, especially since the Ritalin generation, because if you're on any anxiety medication, you will not like it. It will be contraindicated, especially if it's too strong for you. It can, even the subtle scent it is, can make someone pretty ill and really feel weird over my experience. And more psychotropic medication is prescribed to people. I'm seeing more and more that adverse side effect to bergamot. People who like it, I'm not going to get into that, but not liking it, it's usually because of medication, but it does reflect like because it improves circulation. It's very similar to our vitamin E, which is very similar to linalool, its main constituent. So people who are doing whole grains and foods won't like it, but mainly medications have been the real sick or off contraindication, totally changing their sense of smell perception to it.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I find that when you use the different bergamot, so you use like normal bergamot or FCF, so without the furanocoumarins. I always say furanocoumarin is like the sunshine. It's like
It
once
is
it's
almost
taken
like
out, it's not so much. So do people react the same way if to FCF as to normal ones? Have you noticed?
I have noticed. I have noticed, especially within the past 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I would say 2012. precisely. I remember regular clients saying, it's, sense of smell, working with clients like I've done for over 25 years, you can tell that, you know, how they're feeling
Yeah.
throughout that. So, and then working with new clients, you can almost relate those situations to working with the sense of smell. And it's really quite profound how a new person smelling it compared to someone older smelling it
Yeah.
does change and does dislike sometimes, or sometimes even likes. It's
So
changes.
don't feel like you need to stick to the don't like. So if you've got things to say about if they do like it, please do share that. It's really interesting.
Okay, yeah, it is. It is. And every scenario is different. We're all
Yep.
different, of course. So let's go on to cedarwood.
Mhm.
Cedarwood is very grounding. It aids restlessness, but most of all, it's very regenerative. Cedarwood grows all over the world. I love the cedarwood atlas. It's one of my favorites. I'm not into the one from America. It smells like a pencil. And
Yes, it
yeah,
does.
it does. Yeah, and I'm more into that sweeter smell of the atlas. So go Morocco. And what I can say is cedarwood, if your pituitary gland, if your growth hormones are overstimulated, or if you're overstimulating, let's say for a woman, too much estrogen, or male, too much testosterone, you tend to not like it. It
Oh,
doesn't
that's so interesting.
with growth hormones. And so many of them don't, as we know, oils, do, alter hormones or I'm not coming up with the right word, but they do affect hormones quite a bit. And they have natural hormones to them that you can relate to our bodies very well. So when you don't like cedarwood, which is quite often, you probably had a growth spurt. You probably are taking hormone supplements. It doesn't do well with any kind of birth control, and people will tend to dislike it. And again, any psychotropic medication that stimulates hormones to boost mood, you wouldn't like it. But if you're subduing them, sometimes you do, like suppressing hormone like serotonin or dopamine or any kind of, growth hormone as well.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it makes sense. It does. And clary sage, people tend to not like it when they're drinking a lot of water. I tends to hold moisture in the cell. It grows and thrives to full bloom without a drop of rain, just from the moisture and the dew. So it has that ability. And I like to reflect how they are in nature a lot too.
Mhm.
How they grow and thrive in nature is how we feel about them too. But it's very good at volatile energy. And when people don't like it, they usually have a lot of support, a lot of comfort, and a lot of boundaries to, prevent that volatile energy from feeling disarranged or confused or imbalanced. Clary sage can be very balancing that way. And from 1 being sad, 10 being happy, it can lift you from a 1 to a 6, up 6 levels. It's very uplifting. But if someone is on, like, let's say, a psychotropic or anything like that, that's boosting their mood again, they won't like it. So it does contraindicate that too. And clary sage kind of is disliked by a lot of people that are competitive or driven to succeed. They tend to be those types of people who don't care so much about someone's emotional levels. And people that like clary sage tend to really want to nurture. It's just part of it to me. And it's covered a little likes for you. Eucalyptus is one of my favorites to smell with people. Eucalyptus is cellular breathing, it's oxygenating, it gives you that sense of freedom. People love it when they love it, but when they don't like it, they're really a free spirit. They don't need a sense of freedom because they do what they want, when they want, whenever they want. And they're the type of person who will make a list but not follow it.
I just well, the reason why people are laughing, it's on my no list. And yes, I do have those lists that never get done.
It's quite interesting. Yeah, and I love to have the conversation with eucalyptus with people. And when you're working on relationships or husband and wife or just consulting in a group, it's really quite fascinating because it does fit. But I've always called people that like eucalyptus list people. They make lists for everything, and it's a to-do list that keeps us going and going and going. People that really love it just have a to-do list so long they never finish what they do. They have to carry it on to the next day, which a lot of us do some days, of course. Eucalyptus is really a handy
I've
oil.
never finished a list in my life.
Lavender. Lavender is the most recognized essential oil. I love Bulgarian. I love it mixed with a 40-20. I love a spike. I love them all. And I tend to mix them. I just do. I get that right note for me that time I'm working with an assessment, and it's a pleasure to blend my different oils that I pull out of the fridge after defrost. But anyways, lavender raises blood sugar. People who tend to not like it tend to be insulin sensitive. I hope you girls in UK know that. And if you have insulin sensitivity or high blood sugar, you will not like lavender. Also, on those psychology levels, lavender is so familiar to us. So if we tend to really appreciate it, we need that girl time, that good time with friends, similar to jasmine, you know, relationships coming, you know, like I'm looking forward to that, or I'm missing that. You'll like lavender. But if you don't like it, you could have issues with trust. Someone could have broken your heart. Someone could have been, you know, behind your back doing something. And it's one of those lessons of life. And all of a sudden, due to that neural transmitter, it just shuts off to lavender. And it doesn't seem like it's going to help you at all. That kind
Funny,
of
because
thing.
when I'm always talking about like giving an example of people who don't like lavender, I always immediately go to somebody who didn't get on with their nan, because it's like an old lady's fragrance, isn't it? And yeah, you can
Well,
see how that would undermine somebody's trust.
I do hear that a lot too, but that's also when someone refers to an old lady smell. I worked with mentors all my life, European. I was raised with Czechoslovakian from New Zealand who studied aromatherapy in England, and I have a deep respect for women. I would never refer to them as an old lady. And so
Oh, because I tell you what, so I can fill in the gap. It's because, like my grandmother's era, they all wore Yardley's English lavender.
yes, yes.
And that's why so many people here particularly will smell it and go, smells like my nan. Yeah.
Well, I automatically consider that a contraindication. That they, you know, it's to do with trust. Maybe you were
Yeah.
hiding things from your mom, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Does go
Yeah.
through your
Yeah.
head. It
Yeah.
just does go through your head. So lemon. Lemon is vitamin A and K. It's boosts the immune. It starts new projects. It's just that ray of light. It's yellow. It's powerful. But when you don't like it, you're eating a lot of fresh vegetables. Your vitamin A and Ks are not needed in the body. Most of the citrus cover nutrients. I like to consider lime a detoxifier, but lemon is vitamin A and K, positive, fresh, new energy. And if you're not ready to start something new or looking forward to something new, you won't select it as your favorite. It'll just be a like. And it's considered friendly. You're just needing to increase your vegetable counts a little bit more. And if it was like almost your favorite, of course, a little bit more. But you know, your vitamin A and K is your immune system, it's your kidneys, it's your digestion, all combined and purifying the blood. It does so much. So lemon is very special when people select it. My favorite lemon is an Argentinian lemon. I'm kind of a lemon snob. I don't like too much citron in my lemon. I like that high note. Yeah. But you won't like lemon if you're doing a lot of vitamin A and K. It doesn't really, I do relate it a lot to the amino acids, lysine, L-lysine, different things that work on the immune, like lemon would too. So I do relate it to a lot of nutrients and things like that. But for the immune, but it doesn't shine light on the overactive immune problems that we do see even more and more common. Lemongrass does. Lemongrass, you will not like if you have Hashimoto, if you have anything that's really stressing your immune out. If you've taken an antibiotic, you won't like it. And lemongrass can be very healing if we're sick. We tend to, it's my number one for bringing back the sense of smell with sense of smell loss. A lot of, I don't know why it's not out there. I've told so many people, use lemongrass. It will bring, you know, on your face, diluted, of course, but it will work on that immune, especially with the old fatberry bulb. For me, it's always been my go-to when I've lost my sense of smell. Have you ever lost yours?
Well, no, I haven't. But actually, my father had a benign pituitary gland tumor, and he had no sense of smell for the last 10 years of his life.
Oh, so
Mm.
sad.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I'm an advocate for bringing people's smell back. Marjoram is really one thing, um, lemongrass is really good for overthinking when you're overthinking about lemongrass. And when someone is really done with a project, when they're finished, when they have closure, and they've thought about it and thought about it, I'm just done. You know how you get to that point, you won't like lemongrass either. Yeah, and also sleep aids tend to contraindicate lemongrass too, as well.
So that's really interesting, because I always say that lemongrass says to me, what if? And every time you hit a wall and you're going, yeah, but all of those things that you've told me, all of those excuses, what if you could do something else? And it's really interesting that you say, no, that wall's done. You've had enough. Put it away. And that's almost exactly, I couldn't have said it like that, but that is exactly what I
There's a
perceive. Yeah.
million ways to say things, and,
Yeah.
I've learned to be careful in different situations, because you have to be very careful the way
Yeah.
you're interpreting smell. It's very psychological, and it's very deep. So you have to be careful, and it can be very meaningful if you say it the right way. Oh my God, tears,
Mm.
emotional breakthroughs. I mean, from 1 to a million just in a second. People make those connections. I remember when I was a child learning the things that just stunned me and changed my life instantly. So marjoram is really good for muscle spasms, nerves, any kind of spasmodic cough, any kind of inflammation that we have. It really helps with any kind of soreness, especially mixed with others. But you won't, and it's very good for sudden outbursts, like overexcitement, overburdening stress. Like, let's say you have a deadline to meet. So people will tend to really like it when they really have to work on a project, meet a deadline. If they're already finished, they won't. It's contraindicated quite a bit when people are doing their nutrients that help with breathing, any kind of bronchial or even antihistamines. They tend to not select it as a favorite, but if they have something that they're pressured, they'll really like it. But
Yeah, because when you're taking those kind of medications, it changes the taste in your mouth as well, doesn't it? I can see, yeah, I can see how that wouldn't go with the smell of marjoram.
Yes, but it's a wonderful oil, and it's
Yeah, I love it.
rated. Yeah. In the oregano family, it's so key, especially with the COVID pandemic and stuff. It was very popular with the customers coming in. Sweet orange, vitamin B, C, and beta carotene. People won't like it when they're doing whole grains, similar to bergamot, but they won't like it too much when they won't even smell it when they're doing beans, believe it or not. If they're doing no bean diets or high amounts of beans, if they're vegan, they won't like it. They won't even smell it. If they're taking a vitamin B complex, B12, or eating red meats, they won't like it. All those vitamin B, C's, and beta carotenes that we can tend to do to boost our immune, boost our energy. Orange is usually very popular, but lately, since the pandemic and people are more into their nutrients, and I work with 10,000 products in a health food store with all these little babies, and they tend to not like it too much. It's not one of the selected favorite, but people that do like it usually have those tight muscles, especially with the tight neck, and they're working on projects needing those nutrients.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Patchouli. Patchouli stimulates serotonin and dopamine. It's quite a favorite. It's quite friendly when you really like it. People that tend to like it need a lot of the time alone. They like that quality time alone, those walks, those quiet walks, whatever. But people that don't like it tend to be a little aggressive, a little not feeling well sometimes, the opposite of what patchouli will do when you're sad. But if you're on too many medications that are stimulating hormones, it can make you very imbalanced, and people can get very sick or not like patchouli. It smells like dirt, we hear a lot. It really is very offensive for someone who's taking Zoloft or any kind of antidepressant. They will not like it, but it will shed light if they kind of like it a little and they're on medication. it means their medication may not be strong enough, or if it's too strong, they won't like it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Kind of measure the sense of smell. Like for instance, in skincare, 4 decades in skincare, I did a mother and daughter. The mother was on a higher dosage than the daughter. And the daughter ended up liking a little and the mother didn't. And we talked, we conversed. I didn't know they were on medications, but I brought it up that it could be contraindicated. So it came up and I just kind of explained that. And the same with lavender too. Like if someone doesn't like lavender so much that has diabetes one day and then really doesn't like it, their medication may be increased or just too strong at that moment to appreciate the smell. So it can change very quick, especially with medications that leave our system in, matter of hours sometimes. Or, or they're high at a moment and then they kind of adjust. And when you're starting a medication, it's always more sensitive to your sense of smell.
Yes.
Yeah. Peppermint. Peppermint is very good for people when they need help with their nervous system, but they won't like it if they're doing something for pain or if they're doing something like magnesium, anything that affects your nervous system, even B6. There's so many things that are on the market, your boron products like a nerve pain relief, anything like that will contradict peppermint, and it's really quite amazing. Yeah. And people that like
So everyone will be listening out for that because they know very famously which ones I hate, and I hate peppermint. And I do have to have magnesium supplements for my restless legs. Yeah, it's very intuitive. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad. I've said that to a lot of people, and when I bring up don't like an oil, you're not the first that asked about peppermint.
Hate it.
People that don't like peppermint just a little bit more don't have attack personalities. They're very nurturing, very patient. They'll let others take the lead, and it shines with your personality. It does. Yeah.
Well, flattery will get you everywhere, Mr. Cook.
I'm very sincere like that. Pine is very good at improving your natural defenses, taking away allergies, or not really taking them away, but helping them relieve your allergies or helping to relieve allergies. Sorry about that. But you won't like pine for many reasons. And it's also very good for kidney, liver, and gallbladder. And it's famous in aromatherapy. I refer to it all the time when someone has something wrong with their digestion. And I can narrow it down by what they do or don't like. In like comparing it to lemongrass and different ones that would reflect with that, even chamomile. And people that don't like pine usually are doing tart fruits.
They're doing what?
Tart fruits.
Oh, so like grapefruit and things.
Even your vinegars.
So like people who are fermented foods, that kind of thing.
Fermented foods, all your little.
So interesting.
Yeah, like even sauerkraut, for instance, you wouldn't like or feel like you would select it as your favorite.
So I'm going to go and interrogate both my sisters at the moment because they're both on fermented food fads at the moment. So I'm going to say, how are you getting on with your pine? I want to know.
Unless they have severe allergies or really bad kidney, liver, or gallbladder problems, they wouldn't like it. But tart fruits, when someone doesn't like it, I can always say, oh, you must have done tart fruits, or maybe you're taking something for your kidney, liver, or gallbladder, or whatever. But they won't like it if they haven't been drinking the night before or don't drink much, but they will like it if they've been drinking the next day. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, so I'm very much used to the party lifestyle and don't really live it, but I would often go for the pine in the early morning smell just to kind of recover or help recover from the night before.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes. Yeah, and people that kind of lack defenses really tend to like pine, but when they're very defensive, I want to refer to them as like even aggressive, they tend to not like pine too. Yeah.
So before we give away all your secrets, tell people about your survey that you do and how it can help their business.
I was planning to at the end.
Yeah, good.
4 more. Pink grapefruit, vitamin C and K. It reflects well vitamins. It helps the body detox from salts and pollutants. So people that really like it usually add fried food, something salty, or a problem with retaining salt and retaining water in that sense too. And they wouldn't like clary sage as well, as you can kind of relate to my
Mm-mm.
but people that like pink grapefruit really need that stimulation of a happy feeling. When they don't like it, they tend to go forward very quick, and they okay, let's go on to the next, like almost like how you are.
Mhm.
Let's get right to the point. That kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
and people that don't like pink grapefruit are that type of people. They're not the real, like, let's just enjoy the moment and eating and staring in each other's eyes, and like they
Yeah,
really
yeah.
and they're excited. So people that are overexcited with stimulation of happiness or thoughts about what they're going to do next tend to not like pink grapefruit or smell it in that sense. And the vitamin C's that people are taking these days, it's kind of like one of those invisible oils right now to people. But it's one of my favorites. Pink
Yeah,
grape,
I love grapefruits. Mm.
rose geranium. It stimulates adrenal functions. People won't like it if they're taking any adrenal medications, but it's very medicinal for someone who's lacking those adrenal functions. They love it, and I love it too. And it's something that you have to continue to use quite a bit if you're lacking adrenal functions to be able to appreciate the benefits of it. But it's been used since the 1400s. It's so familiar to me, and I do love the rose geranium more. I don't know why. I have worked a lot with geranium, but I think regular geranium is more suitable for treating severe menopause symptoms or even cancer, issues with cancer, than rose geranium. Um, Rose geranium refers to a lot of people as little old lady smell in my book. Lavender does too, quite a bit.
No,
But
I love geranium. You can't say anything bad about her in my
I know,
presence.
I know.
But I have to say, I prefer geranium Egypt than rose geranium myself.
That's yeah. I use an Egypt one too. Yes, I do, and of course it's much better and clearer note. It's just a very clear note. But geranium people won't like when they're really they'll like it more when they're close to their cycle. Of course, it helps stop bleeding. It has that um, septic quality that tightens blood vessels. It's very anti-aging. It's really nice like that too. But if they're taking a lot of supplements that are producing hormones and things like that, or eating a lot of hormone-rich foods, can contradict that sense of smell. And I didn't really get into too much foods. I wanted to cover them, but I also wanted to stay under 30 minutes, like you said. So,
Not only that, I don't want to give away all your secrets because I do want people to buy from you, Charles.
I'm not here to sell anything. I really want to start a program that,
Right? So
yeah,
tell us about that.
with the right people, and I will. Rosemary. Rosemary is really interesting. When people don't like rosemary, they usually are having trouble with closure. And when you're done with finishing a project, when you've had a loss or something you just can't really accept, to where you're just missing them so much, that kind of thing, you won't like rosemary. It's just something that shuts you off a little bit, and it does boost
No comment. No
yeah,
comment.
there really sometimes isn't a comment for that. Yeah, it's just something that's hard to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, really is. Yeah, but it's really popular way. If you're taking anything for circulation or any kind of brain supplement, you usually don't like it, but you can tend to appreciate it.
She's too bossy. You
A
kind of,
lang
yes, I love ylang ylang.
and I like the bourbon. I'm a snob. I love the bourbon. But a Langling is really special. I actually had the flowers grown in South Florida in a tree in my backyard.
How beautiful.
Really beautiful. Yeah, South Florida is very tropical.
Profound flower envy on that one.
Yeah, and they shade towards the sun, like kind of like a frangipani a little bit, and then turn a little bit too. But or what does that? Even lilies and daffodils do that too a little
Or
bit.
calendulas, don't they? That's
Yeah, calendula.
calend. That's what it means, doesn't it? Follow the sun.
Yeah. So a Lang Lang does that somewhat, especially in their earlier stages of blooming. But a Lang is very good for boosting confidence. And if someone has a lot of confidence, they tend to not like it, but it's also very good for high blood pressure. And if they have low blood pressure, they will not like it. And that goes for lavender as well as bergamot as well. And quite a few of my oils that help lower blood pressure, of course. But you can really help someone.
Because you can feel it straight away, can't you? You can feel that, that's quite nauseating. I feel a bit odd. Yeah.
Nauseating is that sick feeling.
Mm.
It happens a lot with geranium, and it can happen with any one of them, you know, at certain times. And it keeps you studying, keeps you researching. But when you do take those selected favorites and you blend them and they smell them, is the magic that's kept me going. And I tell everyone I could not have done it without you, because you need to work with their sense of smell. I give the credit just to the sense of smell. And it's so important to work with this with aromatherapy. Now, I've had 40 years working, making such compelling impacts over my career, working in so many different pandemics, starting with HIV through all the medications that kids are being put on and different things. I do know that this will make an incredible impact for mental health, for cancer care, and comparing is what we're kind of hinting on. But the secret is in comparing the medicinal quality scents. Even though some oils still have similar constituents, there are medicinal aspects that when you compare all those medicinal aspects, you can nail what would improve their health the best and what would not be good. So it can avoid contraindications and improve health and even improve science, treatments, and medicine by that chemical analysis in a professional scientific venue. So I'm really hoping to start a project with someone combined with research specialists that can significantly biomark those medicinal plant compounds and put them in an analysis, which I do have on my program, to compare those results and show the selected liked and disliked amounts and really showing what that breakdown would show is really what I'm after. And it seems advanced, but I've already consulted so many scientists, so many people working in my school systems throughout Florida, in Boston. I'm from Boston too. And they've all said it could be done. And
so what you're seeking now is a partner in this, is that right?
Yes, I really am. Someone who can start a program that's involved with a research institution that can work with those chemical analysis.
So what would be the most important thing the person would have to be for it to be the right match for you? Excuse me.
It's okay. Good, and allergies are up, of course. A good chemical analysis can be done by anyone who knows the pharmaceutical components that could be relatable to, you know, health. So, affecting health in any way. And through a good, not a cosmetic chemist, but someone who's into, you know, pharmacology or phytotherapy, chemical plant compounds, it would really be what I need. And
so everybody, if you're watching, I need you to do some sharing, and I need you to think about who might be able to help Charles. Put the feelers out and see if you've got any contacts that might be able to help him, because this could really take us to the next level, I think.
I think so too, and thank you for sharing with me. You first said it's something you wouldn't use, but I tell you what, I've worked with the array of oils, and when you can design an assessment with my current technology, I have been developing for 15 years. With my current technology, I can take an A through Z list and select what I want for an assessment and instantly produce an assessment that could be used in any demo situation. And to take it on to that chemical development, with that chemical analysis, I'm already there. I just have to load those chemical compounds into the files that I have.
Absolutely. To clarify to people, the reason why I said I wouldn't use it is because my customers are writing customers, not so from a practice point of view. But
Okay,
I actually really do like the product, and I think that it deserves some support. So let's see what we can do, people, to see if we can support it and get it
yeah,
off
I
the
would be
ground.
happy to share my technology with anyone who's interested in sense of smell technology to show what I can deliver. It does take a demonstration too to win over the compelling impact and understand the approach if they're not familiar with it. But Elizabeth, you're extremely intuitive. You've been at this so long. And just from what you thought about your aromatherapy covering assessment, I can tell you've been through a lot. And I can tell
Yes.
that you
Don't
definitely
give
have a
away
deep appreciation.
secrets.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a lot that you think about every night. You're definitely a deep thinker on things. So thank you
Oh,
for
I'm somebody who never stops thinking, Charles.
you-
So I wish
you-
somebody had come up with an oil that actually stops my thinking. Do you know, I say to my husband, what are you thinking about? And he goes, nothing. And I'm like, what, black space?
you're
People
on a
have black space. No,
higher
can't
vibration.
imagine, cannot imagine what it would be like. I cannot. So what
Okay.
we'll do, people, is we'll put Charles's contact details in below the video. And yeah, don't contact me, contact Charles. And if you think there's anything that you would like to see more of, or if you think that you have somebody who might be able to help, or if you can help him out, please do get in touch.
Yes,
So
and I'm willing to help with anything besides just my project too. If they have questions about aromatherapy or anything, or a recommendation for you,
brilliant.
yeah, I love it. Thank you, Elizabeth, for your
You're
time
very welcome.
covering more oils and more programs in the future. And if you want to do any live classes, I'd be happy to send you an assessment. We can cover it live.
I think that what you will find is that lots of people will be approaching you to do summits now, just knowing what happens. So once you've got your exposure, I think there will be plenty of people who want you to come and do bits and pieces of talking for them.
One last thing, my upbringing with Dr. Dietrich's approach and mentoring with it for 2 years before I broke out on my own and started buying more oils because I was so passionate about the sense of smell was so meaningful. I was hoping to find others that were, old school girls that knew of that approach. And so if you know of anyone, please send them my way. I'd love to talk to them.
What do you mean by old school?
Old school with Dr. Dietrich's approach, working with 12 systematic.
There we go. That's what we're looking for.
Yeah,
I'm putting you out there, people. Go and do some
Yeah.
homework.
Yeah, I want to find you. Yeah, for sure.
Lovely.
Keep up
Thanks
with the-
ever so much, Charles.
Yes,
Thanks a
have
lot.
beautiful full moon. Love you.
Bye-bye.